Hi guys, it's been a while, but we're back, and we're back with the Celica, and there's still no engine in there, is there? But it's built, yes. So's the gearbox, yes, and the diff, and the turbo, it's all sorted. But before it all gets fitted in, there's a few bits and bobs that need sorting out. So this episode is going to be literally pre-engine fitting prep, if you will, and we'll get some bits painted and some covers and some bits cleaned and stuff, and then we'll go through everything and we'll explain what's been going on. All right, here we go. Right, so I've got the doors out of storage. They've been there for about 18 months, obviously, and I'm going to fit them to the car. But nothing's ever straightforward, is it? No. So normally, you slide the door in from here, bolt it from the back, job done, brilliant. But I've disturbed these hinges because I removed them when we blasted and painted the shell. So these are where the main adjustment is. So if I try and line my door up now, there's a very good chance I'll just be wasting my time. So I'm going to have to remove the whole hinge, and these are meant to be sealed up from the factory anyway with some kind of seam sealer behind them to stop any penetration and also to stop them moving. So they're going to have to be removed clean, bonded on with a slow acting bond, so when the door is shut and it's set in place over the next 12 hours it'll dry. So let's do that. But obviously, before we fit the door, believe it or not, I've got to start by taking the bumper off, just because that's the way it is. Bumper's got to come off because the wing's got to come off. The wing's got to come off so we can get to these hinges properly. The joys. Start again. So go, front end all stripped, and this is what I was talking about. So yeah, the door bolts through here, but you've got that much adjustment on these hinges that this is where the adjustment needs to be set. Once the door's in place for the first time and you've got some adhesive on these or some seam sealer to hold them in place, then the door can come on and off as much as you want because these datums aren't moving. So we're going to bolt the hinge to the door, and then we're going to bolt, when we bolt the door on, we'll bolt it to these, making sure the shut line's perfect across here and up here. And then if there's any small adjustments needed, that can be done in the wing. For joys. I think I'm losing the will to live, to be honest. I'm starting to go a bit crazy with all these parts that just keep coming and coming, only refurbing. It's unbelievable. So last night I stayed late and I cleaned a lot of the stainless steel and the aluminium bits, the bits I could, inlet butterflies and all that, and all this pipe work. It doesn't look like I've cleaned it, but yeah, I've spent hours on it. I've got all these old pipes that are going to need replacing, and starter motor and all that. And then there's a big box of stuff gone off to the sandblasters as well. So that all needed cleaning before it goes there. It's just hours and hours of work, and yeah, just so many parts to bolt on. But listen, this is just what you've got to do. We know now. This is what we've got to do. So you just got to crack on. So I'm going to organise all this stuff, give it a clean, get it all boxed up, and we can go from there. Car restoration. Don't we all just love it? I wasn't very happy with the bits once I cleaned them and dried them off. And luckily for me, my good friend Martin next door has made himself a vapor blasting machine out of an old sandblasting machine, which he's converted to hold fluid, and it's got a pump in there, and it fires glass beads at high pressure. Just standard vapor honing or vapor blasting, whatever you want to call it. And the results are unprecedented. I can't believe the difference. I am definitely all for vapor blasting now, especially aluminium and stainless steel parts. The results are just, well, it's just night and day. You could never get this as clean as you have done here using any kind of chemicals. So yeah, that's it from now on. Any aluminium or stainless steel, we're just going to vapor blast it. Looks brilliant. Also works on plastics as well and connections. So everything's in the booth and it's all ready for epoxy. There's going to be different coatings on a lot of different things. We've got the sump, which is going to be epoxy black. We have the exhaust manifolds and the turbo heat shields, which are going to be painted in a VHT paint, very high temperature. We have a lot of engine brackets. Toyota love a good bracket, don't they? Them, along with the rear calipers, are going to be done in epoxy black. There's just loads going on today. Got some other brackets down here, some pulleys and some pipes. And not that it's anything to do with the Celica, but also today, randomly, I've got a mini bumper to paint. I've got that's part of the mini bumper. I have a roof rail off a Land Rover Discovery. I've got a brake pipe that needs epoxy in. I've got a mini bonnet. And I'm redoing one of the Celica doors because I bolted it on, did all that work, polished it up, and I wasn't quite happy with it. A couple of ripples. So that's getting redone. So this is body shop life. This is what we do on a day-to-day basis. But most importantly, these bits are going to get done. So let's just smash on with it. Right, here we go. All the bits done. We've got manifolds, we've got the manifold heat shield, we've got the sump, we've got all the bits, we've got the calipers. The calipers look really nice. Let's see if I can get in there. Oh, look at them. They look lovely, don't they? And all the shields and all the brackets. Best part of the day, that took, believe it or not. It's unbelievable. So more bits painted and more bits ticked off the list. Here we have the wiring loom for the engine bay for the Celica, and I've given it a good clean, every single connector, and we're just going to crack on and we're just going to make it look a little bit tidier. And what I'm going to do is I'll explain it to you because it's pretty simple. It looks a nightmare, but it's not really. So imagine if you're looking at the engine bay from here. This is where it goes into the car and connects to the ECU. There's your diagnostic port, comes through. This area then comes off to like your fuse box and your battery area. This bit comes off and connects, I'm guessing, to the coil, the distributor, and the fuel injectors. And then this bit comes all the way down and then goes to the starter motor. So I've got myself some wire and loom fabric tape. And even though I've gone over it with some insulation, there's a lot of places where this coat, this conduit, whatever you want to call it, is quite brittle and very hard. So I'm going to take all that off. I'm going to tape up all the dog legs first, then I'm going to go around the whole loom. And once I've finished it, then I'll probably realise that I've got to dig into it somewhere. That's just the way it is. So I'll put it on a time lapse, and so you don't hear me swearing, effing, jeffing, but you'll get it done quick. Right, there we go. So let's have a look. All coated with the fabric tape, which is quite heat resistant as well. So wherever there's any conduit, I've gone over that. Anywhere where there's any dodgy wire coating or brittle stuff, I've took it off and just done that. It keeps things a lot more flexible. I haven't done this area around by the fuel injectors, around by the TPS and all that, because we've got I've got a side inlet manifold, so we are going to have to modify, either extend or shorten the wire independent, probably extend. So that bit's been left because there are a few dodgy plugs on there as well. Can you see the connections on there? So that all needs fixing. But then I've done the second lot down here, down to the starter. So yeah, looking good. Another job done, and that'll look a lot nicer under the bonnet when everything's connected. So here we have all the components for the steering. We have completely rebuilt steering rack, rods, new rod ends, new boots, and we're going to get it all fitted. So normally, if you're replacing a rod end or something, you would measure exactly the length, so when you put it back on, it was in the right place. Now this is all best guess, because this is all new. I've measured it compared to the other ones, but who says it was right to begin with? So, I'm going to estimate that at about 9 mil. Let's have a look. Yeah, about 9 mil of thread. Get it somewhere like the whole car's going to need a full alignment when it's done. So as long as it's near enough straight for the time being, we are going to grease the joints in there, and we're going to thread lock here where these bolt into, here like so. So let's crack on, time lapse it, we'll go from there. Boom. Right, there we go. There's the rack. I call it dry assembled. It's assembled enough to go on the car. These boots are just on temporarily. We need pulling back. The rod ends need torquing up. I've got to do that pretty quick because of the lock thread. And then there's also safety washers which get knocked over, so then it can't go anywhere. I'm not exactly sure whether these sit here up onto the next bit, which is a bit more stepped. I don't want to stretch the rubber anymore until that's right. These are all in place temporarily. They move very easily. And yeah, I can't talk anything up till it's on the car, so get it on the car now and then we can go from there. There's a steering rack, so we're going to go like this. Boom. There we go. Steering rack is in. Mounting points, which I don't know if you remember, if you go back long enough, I had to re-weld up all the mounting points and strengthen them because they were starting to crack. They're bolted up. The rod ends are connected, they're torqued, they're locked, threaded, and the washers are peened over as well. There's no hub on this side because it's away getting, well, for the brake company to sort the brakes out, and it's connected on that side and it's connected there. I'm not exactly sure if I've got the right nuts and bolts in place yet because we've got a big bucket full of them. So anyway, steering's connected. Hopefully it won't have to come off again. Boom. And a quick tidy up on some of the plastics. This is the Airbox that the airflow meter connects to. A good scrub, a good clean, and then a quick going over with some trim black. Makes all the difference. There we go. Airbox and airflow meter, thoroughly cleaned, and I don't want to say refurbished, but tarted up. Yeah. Airflow meter looks good. Just give it a quick douse over a bit of silver. Obviously, we couldn't vapor hone or aquablast that because, you know, it's an airflow meter. So, just been thoroughly cleaned with carb cleaner through, and then given a douse over with paint, and it looks lovely. All new fittings. Makes the difference, doesn't it? And yeah, very impressed. Looks lovely. Going to look great when it's in the car. I don't know how long it's going to be in the car, because if we go aftermarket ECU, won't need an airflow meter, will we? But anyway, it's good enough for now, and it's something else marked off the list. Ka-chink. And while I was at it, I thought I'd have a look at the engine side covers or cases, what you want to call them. There's a big chunk missing out of one of them. God knows what had happened. So I plastic welded it back up, put a big piece in there where my finger's going, and then a little bit of bodywork just to make it look a little bit prettier. And yeah, I went over with some textured black spray, which bit of like a crackled finish, which looked nice. And just, again, just these little things take a lot of time. What do we say? The last 10% of a job takes 90% of the time. But yeah, definitely worth it. Right, it's a bit of a pointless exercise, but I haven't got a lot of work on this week, so I've just started bolting things in for the sake of it. I've given the engine bay a good clean. Obviously, we are in a body shop, so even though it's all freshly painted, it was covered in dust. So I've just got the snorkel in, snorkel and the airflow meter and filter box. It's got to come back out again. But what it's doing is it's reminding me where everything goes. We've had quite a few of the nuts and bolts all re-zinced. And yeah, we're expecting, I'm going to pick up the hub tomorrow from the company, from Jizz Motorsport, who are making the brake conversion. And then we can get it back on its wheels and then hopefully get it in next door. Just get the engine and box just thrown in, just so it's in place, you know, and then I can start. There's so much work to do around that. There's all the intercooler piping. The turbo needs clocking. We've got a side feed manifold of an ST162, I believe it is. Yeah, so frustrating, but at the same time, little small steps and all. Right, guys, that's where we're going to leave for today. We are making progress, a lot of progress with the Celica. The engine is built, the gearbox is built, the diff is built. I literally just have to edit the video. So that is definitely going to be the next episode. Promise. I do completely appreciate I've been out of the game for a little bit. The last it's been 6 or 7 months since I released any content on the Celica. And the truth of the matter is I just needed a bit of a break. You know, it's been a tough 12, 18 months since losing my dad. And one of the last things he said to me was to live my life to the fullest and go and see the world and have some fun. That's literally what I've done. I've took a little bit of a step back. You know, there's been customers' cars, some big projects which I've given 100% to. But trying to get that work-life balance, you know, life has overtaken work over the last 12 months and I've been here, there and everywhere. I've been to Sweden, I've been to the Balearics, I've been to the Canaries, been to festivals, spending a lot of time with friends and family, especially my little girl. It's important. So yeah, just enjoying the summer, really. So that's where we're at, and hopefully the content will be ramped up a little bit now. But thanks for your continual support. And the next episode, like I said, I promise, will be the engine and the gearbox, and it looks amazing. So take care of yourself, guys. See you soon. Bye.